Good evening, everyone. I'm Adarsh Ramesh, Associate Member of TiE Mysuru, and I'll be your host for today evening. I'm sure that most of you have heard the phrase Carpe Diem, which translates to seize the day. And standing here, I can see that with the fullest of houses that TiE Mysuru has ever had, today is the perfect day to go and start seizing. And thank you, sir, Dr. Ajai Chowdhry, sir, founder HCL and chairperson Epic Foundation. All credit to you that we have one of the fullest houses TiE Mysuru has ever had. So I've been hearing that you've been attending a lot of boardroom meetings, and I'm sure today's ballroom interaction that we have here for you will be a wonderful distraction and a very insightful session where, in addition to all of us, I hope that you also will have a delightful day. We're all set for an evening filled with inspiration, leadership, and innovation. Now, without further ado, I call upon Mr. Sudhanva Dhananjaya, President TiE Mysuru, to deliver the welcome address and opening remarks.
Good evening, everybody. Ellarigu namaskara. Nice to see a full house, as you said. I'm honored and humbled to welcome Dr. Ajai Chowdhry, founder HCL and chairperson Epic Foundation, my dear friend Ravi Tambuchetti, who's made this visit happen. And you've been very kind enough to give us time for almost 2 days. So lots of meetings. Thank you very much for that. TiE Mysuru was conceived 4 years ago. So we are 4 years old now. 150 members, 3 TiECons. We do this big event, a TiECon event every year. 4 TiE University Pitchfests and Women Pitchfest. We've mentored 60 plus startups and distributed sumptuous prizes for the winners. We've hosted 2 editions of TiE Women Pitchfest. Lots of master classes and workshops. Some of the individuals who've conducted workshops and master classes are here today. Welcome to all of you. I welcome all the board members who are here today. Welcome all the charter members and associate members of TiE Mysuru and TiE members from outside of Mysuru as well who are here today. We have institutional partners and student members, and I see some of them here today. Maybe more will show up as the evening progresses. We have 2 big parts to today's event. One is a keynote address by Dr. Ajai Chowdhry. Sir, we are looking forward to your insightful address. Number 2, installation of Dr. Mahesh Rao as the next president of TiE Mysuru chapter. Dr. Mahesh, welcoming you for your installation ceremony. Thank you all. I know we are running a little late. I'll come back and do the presidential address, my last Mysore TiE presidential address later. Other show to you now.
Thank you very much, sir, for extending a warm welcome to all the dignitaries present here today. Now I call upon Mr. Ajith Pai, board member, TiE Mysuru, to deliver an introduction of Dr. Ajai Chowdhry, a visionary and a true pioneer whose journey is a testament to leadership and perseverance. Sir.
Good evening, friends, TiE members, and guests. It's not every day that one gets to introduce a man who has created what every budding entrepreneur dreams of, creating a lasting business that not only creates enormous wealth, but also is at the forefront of a revolution that changed the world's perception of India, a leader of information technology. The year was 1976, when a group of engineers from the erstwhile DCM. For those of you too young to remember, this is Delhi Cloth and General Mills. And yes, they were in the textile business, and somehow they made the improbable leap to computers to start a business that eventually became HCL. What is mind-blowing today is that HCL introduced the first indigenously designed computer to the Indian market in 1978, a full 3 years before the first IBM PC and the same year as Apple introduced the computer. And that is so cool. HCL went public in 1999 at a valuation of about 550 crores, if I'm right, Dr. Chowdhry. And while it may seem small by today's IPO subscription standards, it was oversubscribed 27 times. Fast forward to 2023, HCL today is a $50 billion corporation. That's 400,000 crores. Compounding 725 times in 25 years. That deserves a round of applause. And today it's our absolute privilege to have Dr. Ajai Chowdhry, a visionary leader and a pioneer who as part of the original team founded HCL. I could stop here and I would not blame you for thinking that these achievements are enough, not for one lifetime, but many more. But then I wouldn't do justice to the full breadth of influence and accomplishments that Ajai Chowdhry has in his life. In 2009, he chaired a task force by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MeitY, making recommendations that would form as the core of the electronics policy of the Government of India today. He is a member of the advisory board of Semiconductor Mission and a distinguished fellow at NITI Aayog. Expectedly, he is the recipient of many awards: Electronics Man of the Year 2010, CNBC TV 18 Indian Innovator of the Year 2010, Cybermedia Business ICT Award 2013, and top it all off, Dr. Ajai Chowdhry was conferred the prestigious Padma Bhushan, the third highest civilian honor in India, by the President of India. He has given back to the industry as an institution builder, playing a crucial role in shaping centers of learning, intellectual growth and development. As chairperson of IIT Hyderabad and IIT Naya Raipur, he built them into reputed institutions they are today. His philanthropic efforts are no less formidable, from setting up Swayam, that focuses on women empowerment and education, and as a trustee of Save Life Foundation. For the last decade, he's also been an active angel investor, a topic close to all our hearts at TiE, given our own focus on startups. Regarded as the father of Indian hardware, Dr. Ajai Chowdhry, relentless advocacy of self-sufficiency in electronics, looks prescient today. Atmanirbhar Bharat is a dominant theme in India today. He has co-founded the EPIC Foundation in 2021 with a vision to make India a product electronics company, a product nation in electronics. His memoir, aptly titled Just Aspire, Notes on Technology, Entrepreneurship and the Future, is a distillation of his life's journey. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not be more proud today to present to you Dr. Ajai Chowdhry, who has traveled all the way from Delhi to be with us. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Ajai Chowdhry, and we look forward to listening to you.
Was the epic profile of Dr. Ajai Chowdhry. Dr. Ajai, the stage and all of our undivided attention is all yours now.
Here and especially being part of a TiE function, because my co-founder Arjun Malhotra literally started when TiE when it was started long ago, and he was a charter member, of course, from long ago, and he has played a major role in TiE in the United States. And of course, my good friend Saurabh Srivastav also has been very deeply involved with TiE, and we work together in creating Indian Angel Network and the Indian Angel Network Fund. So I hear a lot about TiE from him all the time. Today's discussion, I want to talk about what I have learned all these years. And therefore, during COVID period, I was actually spending a lot of time in Goa, where I have a home. And my grandchildren lived there. So every evening, literally, those days I had lots of time. So I would tuck them into bed in the evening. And while tucking them into bed, I would tell stories, some real and some made up. And then one evening, my elder grandson, he said, Dada, why you keep telling us stories only from books? And sometimes I know you make up stories also. So I said, yeah, I do. So he says, but why don't you tell me stories about you? So I started picking up some anecdotes from here and there and, started telling him, this is what I was doing in China, this is what I was doing in Singapore, this is what I was doing when we started, how I used to travel by bus 17 hours from Madras to Hyderabad for sales. All of that I was telling him one day. So all those stories started to happen. And then I said, if I'm telling stories to my grandson, why don't I tell my story to the rest of the world? And that's how this book was created. It's called Just Aspire. And why do I call it Just Aspire? I think there's a big story behind that. I got deeply inspired by Dr. C.K. Prahalad. And I had the privilege of sort of attending a course under him at the University of Michigan. And he used to always talk about A is greater than R. And he would always say, A is greater than R. So A stands for aspiration and R stands for resources. So he would always say that if you have the aspiration, resources will happen. And that's the way really entrepreneurs should build their business. Because so many times I meet so many startups and somebody says, I don't have the manpower, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have that. It's completely irrelevant. If you have aspiration, things will happen. And that's how HCL story is all about. When we started in this country, and we were 6 of us, with great difficulty among the 6 of us, we put together 1.86 lakhs. I personally put 11,000 rupees, which I borrowed from my mother. And with this 1.86 lakhs, we had the dream to make a computer company. And our whole objective at that time was that microprocessor was just appearing on the scene globally. And we said the next generation will be products based on microprocessors. So why don't we create a computer company and make microprocessor-based computers? Big dream, and one of my co-founders said, let's take the microprocessor and change the world. That's what was our dream. So anyway, we all started, and with 1.86 lakhs, when we went to the government, we started a little marketing company, because when we actually got down to really putting together the business plan and figuring out how do we create this computer company, we definitely discovered the whole idea that if you wanted to make computers in India, you needed a license. And those were the license Raj days. So the question that the government asked us when we went to them saying that, we want to start a computer company, they said, you're too small. I mean, how can we, give you a license? So they just poo-pooed the whole idea and they said, it's not possible for us to give you a license. So in the meantime, we said, okay, we'll need money, we need the license. So what do we do? So what we decided to do was to create a small little company called Microcomp, short form for microcomputers. And we started marketing calculators we used to buy calculators from companies like Televista, get a 60-day credit from them, and then we would actually collect the money in 10 days and 15 days. So we had 45 days of cash available. So that's how we rolled cash. And this is much before Dell came up with this whole idea of negative cash flow. HCL was doing it in 1975. So that's how we got started. And in the meantime, we kept looking for a license and it just wasn't there. So suddenly somebody told us that UP government is sitting with a license. So we went to UP government, and being, having come from a background of DCM where we were really taught how to sell things, we sold the idea of forming a company with them. And that became Hindustan Computers Limited, where the UP government took 26% equity and the balance money we put. And then once we were deciding the name of the company, the most critical aspect was what should be the name of the company. And this is something I tell all entrepreneurs. Be very clear how you name your company, because it has to do something with what you are doing. It has to do something with what you want to do, and it has to have aspiration behind it. So we said, okay, the name we want to have it must have India in its name. So we picked up Hindustan. So that was the first word that we picked up. And then we said, it should be called Hindustan Computers Limited. Now, to get Hindustan name was very tough, because those days, if you wanted to use the name Hindustan, either you had to be a public sector or you were a very large company like Hindustan Lever. So it was a tough act, but we went in again, got the whole approval of Hindustan Computers Limited on one basis, and we said, we are a joint sector undertaking of UP government. So you have to give us the name Hindustan. And that's how Hindustan Computers Limited was born. And we knew that UP liked to have Hindi very deeply into it. So our logo was all in Hindi. It was called HeKa, made like a PCB. Okay, so that's what started out as Hindustan Computers Limited. And once we became Hindustan Computers Limited, then getting funding became easier, because those days there was nothing called angels, there was nothing called VCs, there was no money available for startups. The word startup did not exist in the dictionary. So when we went to various banks to start with, nobody was willing to give us money. And yes, there was one bank from Karnataka, Syndicate Bank, that came through. So Syndicate Bank gave us the first little loan for our marketing company. And why did they give it? Because a lot of us had accounts in Syndicate Bank in Delhi, and they said, okay, we'll tell the head office to help you. So we went to Syndicate Bank headquarters and managed to get that little debt. So I can never forget that Syndicate Bank helped us to get started. So there is a deep connect to Karnataka for me from then onwards. Now, so as we were starting out, one of the things that we worked on was that the first product that we wanted to create was a scientific engineering computer. And this scientific engineering computer that we were creating, we actually needed very good R&D people. So we went and raided DCM and brought in some of the, top R&D people from there and gave them a part of our company. And we said, you be our original founders also. So that's how we got started. And then we built the whole R&D team with top people from IIT Kanpur. That was close to us. We picked up some nice engineers from there, and we started our R&D work to create this product. As we were creating this product, we were quite clear that we didn't have enough money to last out. Typically what happens with startups is that we always ask this question, how many days of money do you have to last? And we knew we didn't have enough money to last. So we decided that we will hire the best, we'll create the best sales organization in the country. And we went to Indian Institute of Management in Calcutta and we wanted to hire people from there. So when we went there for the typical talk that you do of hiring people, at the end of the talk, a lot of the students came up to us and said, but you know, you're just starting out. You don't even have anything at this moment. You don't even have a product. Very difficult for us to decide. And those days, who would join a startup? You know? So we were very clear. We said, okay, you are not going to get a job. Okay? What you will get is adventure. And that adventure we can promise you. So if you feel you want an adventure, come join us. And some 8 people joined us. And we paid the highest salary in the country those days. It was 2,000 rupees. 2,000 rupees to an IMC graduate. And it was higher than the salary we were drawing ourselves. So that's one thing I always tell, startups, is that always get the best salespeople in your organization. Because if you have the best salespeople in the organization and you are good at selling, you can be successful. So in this book, I actually have a full chapter, salesmanship. And why do I believe that? Because I'll tell you the next part of the story. The next part of the story is that our product was getting ready. And people were working in R&D. And those days, there was nothing called simulation or any of those things. Some of you who understand electronics will know today how easy it is to make a product on a computer for whatever you want to make. So you could do simulations and everything today. Those days, there was nothing like that. So we actually created breadboard models with wires floating all over the place. All that was going on. And then we unleashed these salespeople onto the market. And what we created was a beautiful looking brochure which described what the product will look like. Product didn't exist. We created a beautiful brochure and said, guys, we taught them how to sell. One of the things that we always used to do when hiring anybody was we would use methods by which we could ascertain whether this person is capable of selling or not. So we used to do certain tests, thematic apperception test, and I do talk about it in my book also. This thematic apperception test, with that we were able to figure out what is the need in them, inside them. And the ones that we selected for sales had to have a very high level of need for achievement. We call it NAC, and this is a theory that was created by McClelland in Harvard. And that concept we used right through when creating HCL, because we always use selection of people is most critical. Okay, and so that's how we selected these people. And they were told that you only have a brochure, you don't have a product. But when you walk into an institution or an IIT or anywhere, you need to work and make them believe that this product will happen. So all of them went into the field. It was a tough job. You don't have a product, you only have a brochure, you can't even demonstrate a product. I meet a lot of salespeople, a lot of startups who say, how can I sell because my MVP is not ready? All these things I hear. Hey, think differently. So anyway, here we go. We started to go into the market. We started selling. And my co-founder, Arjun, one day turned up and said, Ajay, don't worry, I'll sell the first one. He took that responsibility. So off he goes to IIT Kharagpur, his alma mater. And he tells the profs there that, look, we are a bunch of young engineers. We've just started this company. We want you to support us. And he went and picked up the first order for that. The product was called Micro 2200. So he gets the first order. And after that, we took that one order and we replicated it all over the country. So I was starting HCL South, and that's how I've been very deeply involved with Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra. That's the region that I started to take over right in the beginning. And very early days, I hired Ravi. And that's when we started South. And I went and picked up an order for 6 of those products from IIT Madras. By going and showing them the IIT Kharagpur order, I said, give it at the same price. See, they believe in us. Why don't you buy from us? Picked up 6. And 31st March came around. You know what happens in the government on 31st March. If you don't deliver and you don't collect your money, then that money lapses. Fortunately for us, we were able to actually produce the product in March of next year. On 28th of March, I took up my beat-up old Fiat, went to airport in Madras, went and delivered the 6 products to the professors. If we had not delivered that month, there would be no HCL. So that's the kind of risk you have to take when you create a company. It's not easy to start something with nothing, but that's really what A is greater than R means. Okay, so I've proven in many, many times that A is greater than R works. And so that's what really we got started. So that's how we actually created HCL literally from nothing. And I started from a small town called Jabalpur. So one of the things that people always say is that, you know, you coming from Jabalpur, how can you create something interesting and big? But again, that has no meaning anymore. You can come from Hubli and create a great company which could be $10 billion today. It's not a big deal. Wherever you come from, what is available today in India is phenomenal. The kind of ecosystem that's available today for startups is amazing. There's money available, there's talent available, there is a great opportunity in India, and there's a great opportunity globally. So I think all of that has got proven with what has been done by the Indian software industry. And today, when we started out, I think the industry was some 40 million. You know, we are talking about more than $200 billion today. So I think all of that has happened because we had great belief in our capabilities as a country, as people, and we had the clear thought that we, in a lot of ways, have something very special. And in HCL, we called it Mind India, the Indian mind. And so we always believe that Indian mind is different. Indian mind has capability. I'll be honest, we'll say capability better than anywhere else in the world. That's the kind of belief you have to have if you create a company and an organization. And that belief is what carries you through because you have something which nobody else has. Okay? So we don't have money, we don't have resources, but we have aspiration. Now coming to our story, which I want to just carry on telling you about, is that very early in 1980, we decided that we would go global. Crazy, we were 3 crore company. Shiv Nadar comes to Madras, and that's where I was living with my wife and a child. And he says, Ajay, next month you go to Singapore. Typical Shiv Nadar, you don't get time, you don't do anything, you just have to go do it. So 60 days later, we were in Singapore, and few of us started our first operations in Singapore. We were exporting computers out of India in 1980. And when we went to Singapore, we did some research, and we found that what people were looking for was not computers. What people were looking for was computerization. So our whole pitch in Singapore to all our prospective customers is that our company does not sell computers. We only sell computerization. And it was a full page ad when we launched it. And we had phenomenal amount of inquiries that came in because nobody in that country had ever talked about a solution rather than a product. So around that product, we created a solution. Now, our challenge was that we needed to design software for every customer and deliver it. So we created India's first software export factory in Madras. A lot of people don't know that. Everybody thinks that many other companies created a software factory out of Madras, from India. We did that. And we also created tools by which we could automate programming. I mean, we were really thinking far, far ahead. So anyway, we did that. And that's how we got success in Singapore, selling solutions. And, you know, when you go to Singapore type country where 80% of people are Chinese and 6% are Indians, the first thing that they think about is that this Indian company, how can they be good? And typically the Indians who had gone there for so many years were people who actually worked for rubber plantations. Or they actually ran chota kirana shops. So their thinking was that an Indian runs a kirana shop, that corner kirana shop. That fellow keeps open till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock because he's there longer and he works harder, and that's what an Indian is. So that's the kind of impression we had to cope with when we created a global company. So anyway, Singapore was a great learning experience. It became our window to the world. All the technology that we sort of worked on there was brought back to India, and we started to create the Hindustan Computers Limited in India. And we had to really open the market in India. So those days, computers were, when we started HCL, there were just 100 computers in the country. Okay, and there was 700 million population. So we said, my God, if there's just 100 computers in India, look at the size of the market. So that's where you see an opportunity. But when we actually researched, we figured out that why do people not buy computers? And the first thing that came to us was that everybody feels it's very difficult to use a computer. And so we came up with a full-page ad which said, even your typist can operate. And that really created the market in India. And from then onwards, we were the first in the country to introduce EMI on computers. And those days, mind you, our computers were 18 times the price of an ambassador car. So you can imagine how expensive those products were. Of course, we had close to 70–80% gross margin. Okay, but we were going to take that money out and put into R&D. So that's what we were doing and creating products. So very early days of electronics in this country was all about design and manufacturing of products. And that's how this electronics industry started. There were so many Indian brands in electronics those days, televisions and computers and whole bunch. And from HCL, literally so many people started small companies and became very successful. So from creating the market, when you create a market as a startup, the benefit that you always have is that you become the leader. And so in 10 years from starting, in 1976 we started. 1986 we were the #1 computer company in India. And that's what it takes. So you create a market, you become the leader. And that's the benefit of starting from scratch when nothing exists. So I think that's really how we created HCL in those days. And then, of course, from Singapore, I had the great opportunity to go and sell system integration on engineering solutions into China. So I used to go to China regularly, and I learned the hard way what it takes to win in China. So, you know, a typical negotiation strategy of the Chinese is quite amazing. And typically what they do is that you go day one, 2 of you are sitting this side, 10 of them are sitting the other side, all right? And one guy is sitting in one corner, you don't know who he is. They never introduce him. And so you are talking, and then they said, okay, they go on the board, and they say, this is the price we want. That price is some 50% of what price we have quoted. So we said, sorry, it's not possible. We can't go through this pricing at all. We just can't afford it. So they all get up and go away. And you're waiting till the evening to see what's happening. So I asked my colleague, I said, please ring them up and find out what is happening. In those days, calling was not so easy also. So anyway, suddenly get a call at 9 o'clock in the night to say, come tomorrow at 11 a.m. So we go there at 11 a.m. We all sit down and we have the usual Chinese tea. And I must tell you, the environment was very difficult. All the glass panes in the government buildings are open. It's very, very cold. Wind is coming in, and you're sitting there trying to figure out what to do. So these people, we again have a very nice chat. We tell them, look, guys, we just can't afford to give the kind of price that you asked for. So then one guy gets up and puts another price on the board. And we said, this is not possible. So they all get up and go away. So we are wondering what the hell's going on. And third day, when we were there in China, that was our last day in Beijing. And we had to take a flight out because very few flights were available. You can't even get a hotel for another extra day. So there's no way you can extend your stay. They know that. So you know what they do. They make sure till the last moment they are negotiating with you. And finally you say, okay, let's close the deal. But you know, that's the kind of negotiation that they do. Very, very smart. And another occasion I want to talk about China is some very interesting situations where a bunch of customers said that we want to come and meet you, but we'd like to come and meet you in your hotel room. So 4 of these guys arrived and 2 of us this side, and we are chatting and discussing. Suddenly one guy gets up, goes away, comes back. Second guy gets up, goes away, comes back. Third guy gets up, goes away and comes back. Fourth guy also gets up, goes away and comes back. And we have finished the negotiation, discussion, everything is over, and they are all walking out. So I turned to my colleague who could speak Mandarin from Singapore, and I said, Peter, what happened? Why were these guys getting up in between? He says, sir, they were going for a shower. Those days, there were only communal baths in China. They never had a bath at home. So these guys went to my bathroom and had fun. They all had a great hot bath and went away. Of course, I rang up the reception immediately and said, please change my room. I don't want to go to this bathroom at all. 4 of these guys have gone there and washed up last 10 days of dirt on them. And I don't know what I will get as germs from them. So anyway, that's what China was all about. 20 years ago, 20 years later, when I went to China for the Olympics, it was an amazing China. I mean, what they have done in those 20 years is quite amazing. What kind of progress they have made as a country was totally amazing. So China those days and China now is totally different. So from there, I came back to India, started working on creating more and more business here. Interestingly, as you mentioned, we went for a listing in 1999, 2000. And initially, our listing was going to be in New York. And we suddenly discovered that the market conditions are very good out here. And the conditions were looking shaky in US. So we had already started a HCL in the US. And we said we'll go for a listing there. We changed our strategy and we sort of brought it back to India. And before we were going for a listing, we were looking at one particular area, which was, look, how much business do we have in our bag? What is the backlog of orders that you have? And anybody, we are talking about Infosys, everybody is always looking at what's the backlog you have at any time, because that's how you predict your revenues for the next 2 quarters, 4 quarters, 8 quarters. Those were early days. So we were a very late entrant into software. Okay, unlike Infosys and Wipro, we were very late entrant. We'd grown with a lot of acquisitions. So here we are going for a listing. We needed to, our investment banker said, guys, you don't have enough business to tell people that this is your orders in hand. So we said, okay, we need to do something very special. So we came up with this whole new idea, which is not written about, nor will I want you to talk about it also. But I'll let you know what we did. So we created something called customers could buy stock in HCL if they gave us business. So instead of an ESOP, we had a CSOP. And so the founders parted with some of their shares and said that if you give us an order for $75 million, this is what we will give you as a stock in the company because we are going public. And if you give us $75 million and you put this kind of money today, pre-IPO, you will recover the cost of whatever you ordered on us immediately. And which is really what happened. So 6 companies actually gave us $75 million worth of orders. And that's how HCL Technologies got created. And that's a very unique thing which many people have not thought of doing and ever done before. So those are the kind of things HCL has always been audacious. And we took risks when a lot of people wouldn't take risks. One other story is that when I was sitting for the Olympics in Beijing, and Shiv Nadar was sitting next to us, we were having a drink, and suddenly he gets a call. And don't mind something which I tell you. You're in Infosys, right? Yeah, so I'll tell you a story of Infosys. So here we are sitting there, and a call comes from our office in Delhi to say that we had actually bid for a company called Axon in London. And that Axon company has been bought over by Infosys. And Infosys had actually had a press conference to declare that. So we lost that fantastic opportunity to buy Axon at that time. But then Shiv Nadar turned around to me and said, Ajay, watch this space tomorrow. I said, I don't know how will he turn this around, because that's very tough. Because already the Infosys has made an announcement and the company has already signed up to be bought by Infosys. So then what does Shiv Nadar do? He goes and outbids Infosys next day. And we got that company. So we were so audacious. We would take such risks. Sometimes I wonder, we were too young those days to take those risks, but I think when you're young, you take more risks. Right? So that's what it's all about. That's what we are as a company, we are sometimes being called very brash. Sometimes we've been called very audacious, but that's what HCL is all about. That's how we created an organization which today is really, path-breaking. And we started the whole hardware revolution. And the next revolution that we did from our company was the mobile revolution. A lot of stories, a lot of people won't know about that. And the mobile revolution was something like this, that one day, one of my colleagues walked into my office and said, Ajay, Nokia people are here. And we were actually distributing Nokia for the last 4 or 5 years. And it was some second decimal place as far as our numbers were concerned. So I said, yeah. So he says, these guys are here. Why don't you meet them? And let's see if we can do something with them. So I said, look, guys, we are really not achieving anything. The price of these products are so high. Nobody in India is going to buy a 16,000 rupee phone with calling party pays. I mean, that's really the environment that existed at that time. So he said, no. I think it's a great opportunity to go talk to them because senior people are here. So I walked into that office and started chatting. And at the end of that discussion, I told them, I said, guys, we've spent a lot of time doing your product. You've been very kind to us. All the losses that we have made in the last 5 years, they have paid for it. Whatever losses we've made, fins are fantastic. So they said, we'll pay all the losses, but you continue to sell our product. So then as we were discussing, I said, look, 16,000, we're not going to succeed. So they said, okay, what kind of price would you like? I had no discussions with anybody around me, my colleagues. I said 9,900. So they said, oh, that's absolutely impossible. So I said, fine. I mean, we believe that if you do 9,900, we'll go and change the ecosystem. We'll convince the government to reduce duties. We will also go and get this whole thing removed of calling party pays. All of this we will do. We'll create the ecosystem for you to be successful, but this is the price we want. So 4 or 5 weeks later, they turned around and said, yes. So we were caught. I mean, we had to really get that ecosystem going. These are all audacious things we did, some crazy stuff, but anyway, we did that. And with that 9,900, we made a commitment of certain numbers for the month. We exceeded 2x from what we had committed. And then they came to Delhi and we had a great celebration at the Oberoi Hotel. And they all turned around and said, this is fantastic. And after a few drinks, they sat down with me and said, what next? So I said, you tell us what you would like to do. He said, no, grow the market more. So I said, in that case, you need to rethink your price all over again. So we said, okay. They said, okay, what's the next level of price would you like? I said, 6,900. So this is about 6 or 8 months later. So anyway, this time they had come well prepared. And pretty much the next day they agreed. Now then I introduced something which was very interesting in sales. And we introduced what is called, what I write about in my book also, about the ODI model of selling. ODI means one-day internationals, right? So I said, from now onwards, we are going to measure how much you sell per day. There is nothing called target for the month. There's nothing called target for the quarter. It's target for the day. Each salesperson in the organization had to have a target for the day in terms of revenue and collections. So every evening, every salesperson had to send me a WhatsApp, which will say, this is the numbers I sold, this is the cash I collected. And I must tell you, we never looked back from there. The sales just boomed because we really created a model which was something nobody else had done before. Everybody used to be on yearly targets, happily sitting. Last month, they'll do the target. Or every quarter, last month of the quarter or last 5 days of the quarter. All that vanished because they had to do their numbers every day. So we took that business to 8,000 crores in 3 years. So that's how we created the mobile telephony revolution. And something we did beyond that was to go into system integration, where we started looking at, and we created this whole model which said, where track the money. So the track the money model was like this, that where is the government investing money in the country in infrastructure? We should go after those segments where the money is going to come, whether it comes from private sector or government, track the money. So from track the money, we created 6 verticals. And we said, these are the verticals where money is going. We should start to create solutions for each of these. So we identified telecom, we identified roads, we identified defense, all of these segments we defined. And we created an organization that would actually deliver system integration solutions. And in 3 years, we had a total funnel of about 16,000 crores. And the last contract that I got before I sort of took retirement from HCL was the Aadhaar contract. And that was our largest contract. We outsourced the whole of Aadhaar. And we won that contract against TCS. And Nandan Nilekani was the one who was actually evaluating our proposal. So I had a great time chatting with Nandan before we got the contract. So that's what's been the story of HCL since then. And we've kept growing and growing and growing. Now, I'd like to tell you a few things that sort of I've talked about in my book. And I'd like you to, when I wrote this book, I sort of, lots of books are written where people say, I want to thank my mother, I want to thank my father, I want to thank my daughter, I want to thank my wife, all of those things. I said, I'm not going to write that. So I wrote something like this: to the aspirational Indians, the millions who have the courage and self-belief to follow their dreams. And that's what I've dedicated this book to. So it's dedicated to startups, really. And one of the things that definitely I learned in my career and life was that, and this is something I tell all startups, if you are a CEO of a startup, you better be the best salesperson in the organization. Otherwise, you won't succeed. So this is something I'm very particular about. And then, of course, people are very critical. So in my book, I have a chapter which is called Growing a People Tree. It's right. That's really what it's all about. It's all about growing people. So one of the things that I did in my career was that I used to, whenever I was in the office and I was not traveling, I would go around the whole office, meet people, say hello, chat with them, have coffee. And this is something that I did very regularly. And Later on, I discovered that Hewlett-Packard had a concept which was called management by walking around. But I was doing it because this is something that I believed that if you have a deep connect with your people, that's what makes success happen. It's your people that make your company. So that's how we did that. And something that I did, which was very unusual, is that every New Year's, there were close to around 2,500 people in Noida. I used to go and shake hands of everybody from janitor to general manager to say, wishing you a happy new year. My arm would come off because I was actually shaking hands with so many people. But that's really how you create a company. It's all about people. And if you can take care of your people, then you really can be successful. And the last point I want to talk about is that don't become so focused that you know only one subject in your life. So when I was starting up, IIT Hyderabad, I told the director, I don't want nerds coming out of this institute. I want human beings coming out of this institute. So we made a very big change. First thing that we did was, that's the only IIT, even today, that has a minor in entrepreneurship. And I said, forget about, they all give presentations and say, this is the package I received, this is the highest package, all of that, this is not good for the country. I said, forget about what package you got, 60 lakhs, 1 crore, how does it matter? How many entrepreneurs did you create? This question is never asked in IITs, So I told them, I said, that's going to be a measure by which we measure you. And that's what I want to see you do. The next thing was that, how do you actually make people well-rounded? So we created, and this is something that I give huge credit to the director, he created a concept of fractals. And there were 30 odd fractals that we created. These 30 were little subjects on different areas. So somebody could study astronomy, somebody could study music, somebody could learn theater, whatever. And we had Abdul Kalam coming and giving lecture on one particular subject. And that's what we did. We gathered a huge bunch of great people to come and talk about in these fractals. And each of them had credits. So you had 1 credit for this, 2 credits for this, 3 credits for this. And I used to go personally to teach entrepreneurship, and I taught entrepreneurship for 7 years. Okay. Now, that's something that I loved doing because it was so fantastic to be teaching young minds on what is entrepreneurship. But this is something that I believe is very important in our lives, that you should have multiple interests. Don't just be so focused that you do only one thing. I call it a T. The T is from this end to the top is you have multiple interests. And then you have this one deep focused area that you really know everything about. So I can tell you, I know pretty much what I need to know about computing and my business, but I also know about space. Okay, I was a shortwave listener, so I actually had that kind of a hobby. When I talk about space, I was an absolute space freak in college. I used to write to NASA. There was nothing called internet those days. I used to write NASA, get details about what is the next rocket that they are making, what are their plans, and I would always request them for photographs, and my whole room was full of space photographs. So I had so many interests like that, travel, then music, and a whole bunch of stuff. And I also learned how to sing in college. So those were the kind of things that I did. And now, fortunately, I do get some extra time, so I do a whole bunch of other things. Point is that you should be, I call it, be a rangist. Have a range. Don't just be one deep focused area. Also have a range, because it'll make you a better person. And I think that's really what I would like to talk about today. And my last chapter is on EPIC, which is the foundation I've created. My dream is to make India a hardware product nation. And all of us are working together to make it happen. And most of the people who work with us are volunteers. And we actually get those people who have phenomenal amount of experience, phenomenal amount of knowledge, and we want them to be partners with us in creating EPIC. And I'm working today with the the government to also create Karnataka as a electronic product country. So when I met some of the people in government, I said, please don't think of Karnataka as a state. You are as big as a country in Europe or bigger. So why can't Karnataka be an Indian, story of a electronic country, electronic product country? So that's really what I'm here for in Mysuru, to discuss with various people, and hopefully we will be able to create Mysuru as a start point for what we have in mind as far as EPIC is concerned. And we want to make sure that we will be able to do that in the state. But I'm not leaving the central government alone. I'm pestering them to set up a committee to actually help create a startup product country. And I think as a country, we need to go away from services. The days of services are over. Services are low margin businesses. They get commoditized very fast. So I think it's very important as a country, if we want to succeed, we should have a dream of creating India as a product country in everything that we do. If in pharmaceuticals we are in generics, we should be actually creating molecules. We should be a global country where we actually give things to the world. And that's what we should do in every area possible. And that's something that I very strongly believe in, that India should be a product country in whatever we do. In that case, we will be a developed country by 2047. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult. And I think the next thing is, very critically, is the fact that we need to work very, very hard. And I love what Ainaran said the other day, 70 hours a week. Everybody opposed it on social media. I think it's the most beautiful thing he has said. Because you have to work harder. You remember the Avis campaign? We are number 2, we work harder. Right? If we are number 2 and number 3 and number 4, and we don't work hard, we are not going to get there. So one of the things that I believe we should be looking at as a country is not grow linearly. If we continue to grow linearly, 8%, 10% we will grow. We need to grow exponentially. And we need to come out of this whole middle income trap, as I call it. We need to be a developed country. We need to come out of this middle income trap, and we need to be growing exponentially. And that's something that I learned about from a very big sage in futurology. What is his name? No, Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil created this whole idea of exponential. And so he predicted that singularity will happen in 2045. And what is singularity? Does anybody know? Singularity basically means that the human mind will go behind the computer. And the computer will overtake the human mind in 2045. That's what Ray Kurzweil has predicted, that singularity will happen in 2045. Right, with ChatGPT and ChatGPT-4, maybe it'll happen faster. So, these are the kind of predictions that I've always followed. Singularity, Ray Kurzweil with another person called Peter Diamandis went and set up the Singularity University in California. And they teach companies and countries how to grow exponentially. So with that thought, I'd like to leave you for today and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, sir. I think it deserves a standing ovation and a huge round of applause for us all. To the father of Indian hardware, huge round of applause. And thanks for sharing relatable incidents which all of us encounter and relatable feedback on how we should all plan our journey. If I may just create a crude summary. I don't know if you'd approve of it, but it's a crude summary. I want to call it Dr. Ajay's 4 A's. So you aspire when you begin, and you keep in mind A is greater than R. As you begin to bootstrap, you get the right people, and then you give them an adventure and not just a job. When you're in the demand generation stage, when you want to enter the market in new segments, you advertise and you control the narrative to generate the right demand. And finally, when you want to scale up and when you want to disrupt, you be audacious. These are the 4 A's: aspire, give people an adventure, use advertising, and be audacious. Thank you so much, sir. We are indeed truly inspired. Now, if you permit us, we would like to have a small Q&A session where we would like to field certain questions from the audience. I'll like to begin with the first question. I read online that last year, maybe you mentioned that you're 72 years old and you don't want to retire. Rather, you refuse to retire. Why do you refuse to retire, and what keeps you going, sir?
Well, you can go on YouTube and look for my video, which is on retirement, and it sort of went so brilliantly viral that I didn't even imagine it'll go so viral, because people globally wrote to me saying that what a wonderful discussion that you had on retirement. Well, I believe very strongly there is nothing called retirement, because as I said earlier, if you have these multiple interests in your life and you're a rangist, there is no need to retire. All you have to do is, one innings is over, get on to the next and enjoy it more than what you did in the past. And I think that's what it's all about. It's all about enjoying what you want to do, and what you could not do earlier is what you do now. So I think that's what I do. I mean, I enjoy my life. I do many, many things. Today, my wife tells me that I'm busier as compared to when I was in HCL. So that's what it's all about. I do so many things, and it's all about giving back time. And that's very important, that you give back time. A lot of people write checks. I've written in my book also. I always believe, don't write checks alone. Do something. And I think that's very important. Give your time, and that will make things things happen for the country. And that's really what I do. I spend a huge bunch of time giving back. And it's not just writing checks.
Oh, yeah. Just one instance, I remember you very much. You talked about, when we opened your bid, actually, UODI. Okay? The first bid was 6,500 crores. US was way, way below. I don't know how did you... So I was a part of the committee. We evaluated your bid, actually. Okay? So we looked at the first bid, 6,500 crores, second 2,200. We had estimated it would cost somewhere around, our internal calculation was that it will be at least 3,500 crores. I don't know how you took the decision to, underbid and outbid TCS. I think it was a marvelous decision, but you outsmarted everybody else. It must have been a very courageous decision to take such a bold move. Yeah, just want your views on that.
Vicious moves. Am I right?
Yes, yeah, I think it was a very, very bold move.
Yeah, so I think it's a... I think as an entrepreneur, if you are not bold, how will your other people be bold? They will always be, looking for others to do more rather than themselves. The only way people do things is when you become the leader in what you do and you practice what you preach. So it's very critical to show your employees that you're bold and you're audacious, and they will take similar decisions. So in HCL, we always used to say, the salesman used to take all the decisions. The CEO had no role. And sometimes, these crazy salespeople of mine would go and bid for a contract and at a price that we could not afford to deliver. So one day, one of these guys made a mistake. He was bidding into a contract in BHEL in Bhopal. And he met me recently. He recounted this story very recently. He was bidding for a contract in BHEL, and that was, instead of quoting 35 lakhs, he quoted 15 lakhs. My God, I said, he came to me after that and said, "Sir, boss, I've made a big, huge mistake. What do I do? 35 lakhs, I've quoted 15 lakhs. We'll lose money." He says, "Guy," I told him, "Guy, you made this mistake?" He said, "Yeah." "Go and solve the problem." It's not my problem anymore, it's your problem. So you know what the guy did? He went and sat for 5 days in BHEL and convinced them to buy the next version of that product. And the value of the next contract was actually 52 lakhs. So that's what management is all about, you know. You never say to people that you made a mistake and, you know, I'm going to fire you. No. Give him an opportunity, I'm sure he will deliver.
So you just spoke about India being a product country. And I truly believe that we have an opportunity as well as enough mind power in the country that we can become. Lived in Canada for a good number of years, came back to start a company here, exited first one, second one is on the way. The point which I am trying to make here is, I would like to hear, because you are also in a brick and mortar industry, the IT is different, the services are different. But when you have, and we have talked enough about startup culture, the culture that needs to go up in India is the scale-up culture. I want to hear from you, your inputs, as to what does it take really to do the scale-up efficiently, the same way as you would have started it, whether it was being audacious, whether it was being management, but what did it really take you to do the scale-up to reach to the heights that HCL is today?
The first thing that you have to do is that you have to have the self-belief that from 1,000 crores, you want to be 5,000 crores in 5 years. You need to set that goal. And if you have that belief in you that it is possible, then you need to get your team to believe in it. And it should become a shared dream of the whole team. And if you are able to do that, then you break the 5,000 crores into 10 pieces. And 10 different people will have to deliver 500 crores each. So that kind of belief you need to create within the organization and within the team that you have. The team must believe. If the team believes, the numbers will happen. If the team doesn't believe, it won't happen. So that the shared vision of the company is very critical to have scale and growth. Because growing from 1 to 100 is easy. 100 to 1,000 is very tough. And from 1,000 to 5,000 is tougher. But if you have that kind of vision, and I think one very critical aspect of scaling is that you need to create the organization for scale. Okay, if you don't create that organization scale, you will fall apart. So you need to be planning that what is that organization that is required tomorrow that I need to create today. And if you work on that, then you will be ready to scale. And most critically, if you want to scale, you need to be looking at a global business. Don't look at just India. India you can do, but can you be a global company for selling products globally? So if you want to be a global company, you need to, in addition to passion, which is what a startup is all about, you need to also spend some time on quality and process. So I always used to say that HCL was 100% passion, 0 on process. But when we sat down, when we wanted to grow globally, we sat down and said, it's got to be 50-50. 50% passion, 50% process. So I think these are some of the learnings.
I'm sure you're mentoring some of the startups as I can find out. According to you, what is more effective in mentoring? Either to kindle the fire in the belly of a startup founder or to set his tail on fire if he doesn't have a fire in the belly. So I would like to hear from you.
That's really what I said, that if you should have the need for achievement, and if you have that need for achievement, there's no way you'll fail. And I think you need to create a team that also has the need for achievement. There are 3 types of needs that you can easily evaluate, and there are standard tests available for that when you hire people. So one need is called need for achievement, which is called NAC. The other need is called need for power, right? And the third need is called need for affiliation. So a lot of people would go into a customer premises, create a great relationship, but never get the business. Because they have the need for affiliation. They make friends, but friends don't convert to business. So I think that is really how you can make sure that you can create an organization which has the belief, the fire in the belly, and the right attitude in life.
Missing those precious moments with your children, with your family, and all that. As young entrepreneurs, as youngsters, while the advice generally is to work our heart out in order to succeed, how do you suggest that we also balance our personal life? Any suggestion from you?
You need to carry your spouse in this journey. If you don't carry your spouse in this journey, you'll always be wondering, what do I do? How do I give time to my family? So I think a little selling is required.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And then, sir, firstly, I have two questions. The first question goes what's your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur? And then the second one, how do you stay on top of industry trends, being an entrepreneur?
No, first question.
Yeah, that's what, sir. Favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur?
Favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur. I think very important question, I think. Somebody once asked me, what do I get out of being an entrepreneur? And I said, you will create a business card which carries your name and your company's name, not the name of Microsoft. If you work for Microsoft, you will constantly have that card. So that's the kind of pride that you get when you create your own company. And the next question?
Sir, how do you stay on top of industry trends?
Okay. This concept I've talked about in my book, and I call it noise to signal. So you should try and catch trends when they are if you understand electrical engineering, there is a concept called noise and there is a concept called signal. So you need to catch the noise early. If you catch the noise early, you will be able to be ahead of the market because you have caught it at the noise level. When it becomes a signal, all of us can hear it. But when it's a noise, only you can hear it. So think like that.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure the audience are more eager to ask more questions, but we will request that it be taken up after the event. Now, we request sir to please remain seated on the dais while I call the TiE board to please come to the stage and felicitate this amazing, inspiring leader amidst us. So, the TiE board, please come to the stage. Dr. Rao, please, if you may put the plate up. Ajith sir, take the shot. Mr. Sudhanva Dhananjaya sir, to please hand over the memento. All the products are indigenous to Mysore, the Mysore paint, the Mysore silk. So with that, we are now done with the first part of this epic day. Now we are entering into the second half of what we have in store, which is the leadership transition and the leadership installation ceremony. Now, before we go into the official part of the ceremony, I would like to call Mr. Sudhanva Dhananjaya, President TiE Mysuru, to deliver his, as he said, final presidential address of TiE Mysuru. However, life is a circle, so you being the president is right around the corner, and it will definitely happen again in the future. But for this session, for this term, for the last time as president of TiE Mysuru, please, Sudhanva sir, we request you to come on the dais.
Wow. Sitting there, I had goosebumps and anxiety attack, both at the same time. Sir, listening to you, there were so many takeaways. I was just was transformed into a different world altogether. As entrepreneurs here, many of us aspiring entrepreneurs as well, I'm sure there were fantastic lessons today from your story, sir. We're so fortunate to have you with us here today in Mysuru. I know I must have pestered Ravi and via Ravi you to make this trip to Mysuru. Very kind of you to have agreed to be here on a very momentous occasion for all of us in TiE Mysuru, and for me personally, and I'm sure for Dr. Mahesh Rao as well. While we are a young chapter, 4 years old, TiE Mysuru chapter, it was a start which was given by Sid Mukherjee, who's part of TiE Global and was president of TiE Atlanta and just transitioned yesterday in the US. He started it all. Mysuru, we were always in the shadow of Bangalore. Bangalore was always the happening place. Mysuru was the heritage city, a great promise, the next big thing to happen after Bangalore for last 20, 30 years, and we waited patiently. Traditional, conventional, typical Mysoreans, not in the fast lane. Today you've actually taken us into an ultra fast lane, sir. That energy, the fire in the belly, I'm sure if we didn't have it, we do have it now to take Mysuru to greater heights. TiE Mysuru gave us an opportunity to get entrepreneurs together. Mysuru of when I started my entrepreneurship journey to today is so much more vibrant. We see so many youngsters, and I talked to you about it. It is sometimes fashionable to be called an entrepreneur, fashionable to do startups, but you've told the story of what it takes to build a great business. And that example of a business card with your name and the name of your company means a lot. And all of us will want to get there one day if we are not already there. Your story of negotiations in China, fantastic. We have to learn to negotiate the same way with our customers going forward. And if we need help, we will write to you, sir, about negotiation strategies. Others summed it up very well, 4 A's. And there were, I'm sure there are a lot more questions you would have gotten, sir, but for the limited time we have. The big takeaway for me is the way you articulated growth, going from 1 to 100 and going from 100 to 1,000 and 1,000 to 10,000 is what we should be doing as TiE Mysuru. We went from 1 to 10 when we were founded, and when Sid and Sanjay Srinivasmurthy took it to a stage, and then COVID hit, of course. And then Ajith took over as president of TiE Mysuru. Difficult times, COVID hit, but he still did all the events. We used technology. There were virtual events. Even the TiECon that we did in Ajith Pai's leadership was virtual, was immensely successful, which also demonstrated the resilience that your leadership had, Ajith has had, and the team, the board has had. And then for me, when I transitioned into it from Ajith was two things. One, he left a benchmark which was always going to be very difficult to meet, the standards you set, Ajith. And I've tried hard. The board has been very kind and flexible, and we've been through a little less than 2 years of me being president of TiE Mysuru. There is so much more to do now. Lots of expectations from Dr. Mahesh Rao. I want to put that much more pressure on you now. So all the stories we heard from sir today, we have to translate into together, all of us as the TiE community in Mysuru and Mysuru itself as a city. I think we'll have to grow to greater heights. And TiE is a great forum and great catalyst for entrepreneurship and business to happen. So I think Mysuru has arrived, and from a business ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem, it's now for us to pick up the threads. Sir, we are all so energized, so inspired by your story that you said today, your book, so very powerful. And thank you very much. I don't know, I'm short of words than saying we are very grateful to you, sir, for being here with us today. And we will be coming back to you and tell you that we now have gone from 1 to 1,000 pretty soon. Thank you all so much.
It has been an amazing 2 years, right? Do you all agree? Can we hear that one more time? Do you all agree? A huge round of applause to the president of TiE Mysuru and the whole team, all the members, all the charter members, associate members, board members. Through everybody's support, we've had more than 50 speakers over the last 2 years from far and wide. We've had all of the major TiE signature events such as TiE Pitchfest, TiE Women Pitchfest. We've started the Nurture program. There has been events all through the year, totaling up to over 25 events. Every event has seen a participation of more than 100 people, and we've had in total then a recurring rate of close to 90% or more of the people returning enthusiastically to participate, to learn, and to network and conquer all the 5 pillars that TiE talks about in all of the events. So that has been the past 2 years of TiE. Now, I call upon all the board members of TiE Mysuru to please come onto the stage, so there can be a small felicitation for all the things that you did for us all and for ensuring that the chapter thrived and succeeded. So one more time, I kindly, humbly request the board members to please come onto the stage, and for Sudhanva sir to please felicitate everybody through a small token of our appreciation. while Sudhanva sir has delivered his presidential address, he would now be representing TiE Mysuru on a global scale at the TiE Global Summit 2024 as the co-chair of TGS 2024. It's indeed a pride and privilege that the TiE Global Summit is happening in India. It's happening in Karnataka, in Bangalore, and through Sudhanva sir's role there as the co-chair, the entire delegation is also going to be coming to Mysore. Sudhanva sir, would you like to share a few words about the TiE Global Summit, please?
You are aware that TiE chapters bid for TiE Global Summit to get an opportunity to host TiE Global Summit. The last edition, some of you were there, was in Singapore, and and before that was Hyderabad. So I've seen, even though I didn't get an opportunity to participate during my term here, there were 2 TGSs that have happened. The next one is going to be, it was a combined bid of Bangalore at the core and the tier 2 chapters, and Mysore being one of the most important. So we will have a lot of work to do to be hosting TiE Global Summit 2024 in December. Dates will be finalized in the next 3 days. We have a first planning meeting happening in Bangalore in 3 days from now. And then we will all look forward to being part of the summit. Yeah, thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Now for the next part of the event, which is the leadership installation, I once again call upon Mr. Ajith Pai to the stage. Sir, the stage is yours. Please ensure a smooth transition.
The smile on my face signifies that I'm not going to be immediate past president from now on. So that's what I'm saying. I think that last 2 years have been very eventful. I think the number of programs led by Sudhanva has been astounding. I think that we all deserve to give him a standing ovation. So I would request you all to please stand up. Thank you, Sudhanva. I think the last 2 years of TiE Mysuru has been pivotal. You've taken it to new levels. Thank you so much. The incoming president has got a little different style. I think if anyone knows the incoming president, you will know this. Many of you might have already been assigned some work from him. And if not, wait till the end of this program. He will catch you. He's infectious in his enthusiasm that belies his age and goes from 0 to 100 faster than the Tesla. He is none other than Dr. Mahesh Rao, and I can only warn TiE Mysuru, please wear your seat belts, you're in for a ride. From our own Mysuru, Dr. Rao graduated from JCE, my own alma mater, and went on to his Masters in Electrical Engineering at the University of Windsor, Canada, and then a PhD from University of Wyoming. After working as an assistant professor in the University of Reno, Nevada, he went on to work for Intel. He was recognized with the Intel Achievement Award for his contributions and returned to India back in 2000 as general manager of Intel Bangalore. The entrepreneurial bug soon bit him, and he started an embedded product development company, Aspire Communication, in 2002 that grew to about 700 engineers by 2011. He successfully exited that business and returned to his first love, teaching. Most of us know him in this avatar as head of the Department of ECE at the Maharaja Institute of Technology in Mysore. As an academician and a professor, he has published extensively, over 50 research papers, and was successful in getting research grants from the government of Karnataka. He has guided over 50 master's students and half a dozen PhD students during his tenure. And now he's back in his second stint as an entrepreneur. Ajai Design Solutions focus on AI/ML in embedded technologies. He is involved in various social causes and organizations, chiefly among them the Lions Club of Mysore West. He's been probably the most active member of TiE Mysuru, and I have had the privilege of having him lead the TiE University program when I was president. And to no surprise, TiE Mysuru won the best university chapter for 2 years in a row under his leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Mahesh Rao as your new president for the year 24 and 25. I now request Dr. Rao to step forward for the ceremonial handing over from our current president, Dr. D. Sudhanva, symbolizing the changing of guard.
Thank you, Ajith. Thank you, Sudhanva. Your shoes are too big to fill, but you never wear a shoes. That's the kind of a funny thing, right? So, just a little bit to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of TiE, distinguished guests, and my fellow entrepreneurs. I stand before you today with deep humility and immense gratitude as I accept the honor of serving as the president of TiE Mysuru. This moment is not just a personal milestone, but a collective achievement that reflects the strength and unity of our vibrant entrepreneurial community at TiE Mysuru. First and foremost, I want to express my heartfelt thanks to the board members of TiE for placing their trust in me. TiE has long been a beacon of entrepreneurs, fostering innovation, collaboration, and growth. As I step into this role, I am acutely aware of the responsibilities that comes with it, and I am committed to upholding the values that TiE stands for. Our journey as entrepreneurs is one of perpetual learning and adaptation. As Dr. Ajai Chowdhry today clearly demonstrated, it's a perpetual learning, never ends. TiE has been instrumental in providing a platform for knowledge exchange, mentorship, and networking. I'm eager to build upon this legacy, working closely with each and every one of you to ensure that TiE continues to be a source of inspiration and support for budding and seasoned entrepreneurs alike. In the face of today's dynamic and ever-evolving business landscape, collaboration becomes a paramount word and a duty for us to follow and do it. Together, we will continue to build an ecosystem that not only embraces innovation, but also champions inclusivity. We will work to ensure that every entrepreneur, regardless of background or circumstance, has the opportunity to thrive and make a meaningful impact. There is an African adage, it takes a village to build a child. What am I trying to say here? Sudhanva already has said, TiE is a 4-year-old child in TiE Mysuru. If this 4-year-old child has to grow, we the villagers, all of us to combine together, need to nurture it, mentor it, and grow it. It is not a one-man's job. And already Ajith has warned you, and I'm sure you will all collaborate with me. To that end, the team of TiE Mysuru for the next 2 years is here. Please. I'll leave it a second for you to sink in. I extend my sincere gratitude to the outgoing president and my dear friend, Mr. Sudhanva Dhananjaya, and the entire TiE leadership team for their dedication and hard work. Without their work, without their dedication, we wouldn't have come up to here. Building upon their achievements, I'll look forward to working with the entire TiE Mysuru community. As we embark on this journey together, let us remember that our shared vision of a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem is not just a dream, it is a mission that we will accomplish together with our collective efforts. Thank you once again for this incredible opportunity. Let's make great things happen. And let the spirit of entrepreneurship continue to flourish within the TiE Mysuru. Let's dream big. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rao. The meticulousness and what Mr. Ajith talked about, the road ahead, it being very fast and being accelerated was seen the first time ever a president has presented a presentation. So thank you, sir, for setting the roadmap and for giving responsibilities for all of the members. We look forward to growing and scaling the chapter with you. And all of us are in heart and in soul and spirit for TiE and to follow your leadership, sir. So as we draw close to today's epic events, I want to not take much of your time because all of you are eagerly waiting to network and to enjoy the beautiful dinner that we have here in store for you today. I would like to firstly thank Dr. Ajai Chowdhry, sir, once again for your insightful discussions, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your years of experiences in a matter of minutes. I'm sure we all would learn from your book as well as we go forward and would try to incorporate those practices that made you who you are and HCL what a giant it is today. Thank you again, sir, for accepting our invitation and for being here. I also thank the entire team of HCL and EPIC who joined Dr. Ajai and who came all the way to Mysore and was here with us today throughout the proceedings. I also thank the entire TiE board for ensuring that we had wonderful sessions and for making sure that we always are keeping our head held high and always are looking forward to something new and something big. Thank you to the TiE board. I want to thank all the charter members, all the associate members, the student members, our institution partners, VVCE, JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, Maharaja Educational Trust, and Cresta College, and all of the students who've so enthusiastically participated in today's events. Also want to thank all the special invitees who accepted our invitations and who've joined here today for this wonderful occasion of leadership transition and keynote discussion. Also want to thank all of the teams that have cooperated, all of the people on behalf of Sudhanva sir, on behalf of the entire board. I want to thank people at Ranksons for facilitating all of the meetings that happened throughout, all the board meetings. I want to thank Mr. Ajith Pai and team for his assistance with accounting and all the compliance matters. All of you have been the backbone of the operations of TiE Mysuru. Also want to thank the Excelsoft team, Mr. Shivkumar, Prashant Bhatt, Sumukha, Shankar Prasad, Ravi, Kannan, and everybody for ensuring that the entire 2 years went fully smoothly and it really created a good and reputable impact. TiE Mysuru has a very, very important role to play in fostering the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Mysore by bringing together various stakeholders. There are so many people that it's very hard to recount all of them. There are entrepreneurs, there are mentors, there are investors, enablers, policy makers. There are so many people in the chain, so many people who are true partners in our progress. I want to thank each and every one of them. Heartfelt thanks and apologies if anyone has been missed out, but know that without a single person also, a success of an entrepreneur is not possible and an ecosystem is a faraway dream. I want to thank all the sponsors, all the speakers, and all the members who've been with us here throughout. And I'm confident that with the leadership, with the new leadership here and the new team, we are sure to scale and reach newer heights. Finally, I want to thank our Executive Director, Mr. Mahesh Katale, who's the pillar of strength for all events and who's the man behind all of these meticulous planning. Huge round of applause. Each of you have and will play a significant role in our story. And here's to a continuing legacy of entrepreneurship and innovation. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Jai Hind. And to all of you, wish you a happy new year in advance. Thank you. request everyone to please join for the networking session and to enjoy a beautiful dinner. Thank you.